And I'd like to introduce our first Ed Talk speaker, Eric Lewis. Eric has been a passionate educator since 1999 when he started teaching science in San Francisco Unified School District. He has a depth of knowledge, both content and pedagogy, through his collaboration with UCSF, UC Berkeley, the Exploratorium, and quite frankly, many science institutions. Currently, Eric is a teacher in residence here at San Francisco State University, a member of the Community Advisory Panel at KQED, and co-coordinator of the National Board Support Program for San Francisco Unified School District. Please welcome San Francisco science guy, Eric Lewis.
All right. Thanks. Thank you so much. That's science guy. That's me. Oh, where did here it is. All right. All right. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here with all of you motivated, engaged educators. I just want to say it's been said before, it is a Friday in our summer vacation, and we're here at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we are here to learn from each other, to talk about our frustrations and our, dare I say, love for our new standards. Dare I say, to learn from each other and to build our networks of teachers. I'm so excited to be here with you because you're the kind of teachers I would want to work with in all the schools that I worked at. So thank you for being here, and I'm so excited to be here. My name is Eric Lewis, and this is a picture of me taken when I was aboard the exploration vessel Nautilus. I'm a science guy. That's what I'm known as in the district for many years. And if anyone ever wants to do something like to spend 3 weeks aboard a ship somewhere in the world to explore and uncover new discoveries live, and then share it with everyone in the world, then this is a great opportunity for you. Totally free, amazing opportunity to do real science and bring that science to your classrooms, to people everywhere in the world. So talk to me later about that, because I can't talk about it now. Now, as was said, I'm a teacher on special assignment right now with San Francisco Unified School District, or maybe it wasn't said, but I started in San Francisco in 1999 at Mission High, where I taught science. I did that through 2006. Then I became a teacher on special assignment, and I worked with all the high school science teachers in San Francisco. And I got to work with brand new teachers and experienced teachers. I brought new resources, tried out new equipment, designed curriculum specifically for English language learners, for students with special needs, to make sure we had high impact, engaging curriculum for all students. And that was amazing. I loved it. And then just recently in October, I became the co-director of the National Board Support Program in San Francisco Unified. Ask me about National Board Certification. Okay? And in this job, I work with amazing colleagues to help craft supports for teachers of all certificate areas and all grades to do their certification to become nationally board certified. Now, I love National Board Certification, but my passion is around science. And if you think about what your passion is, it might be reading, it might be history, whatever that passion is, mathematics. I heard a lot of math folks out there. Okay, mine's science. I love science. But you know what? It's pretty lonely to love science in education. Yeah. You understand what I'm talking about. Very frequently, there's not much science in the front burner in our education across our districts. In fact, I was looking at a study that just was printed in 2013, so not just recently, but in 2013 from National Science Foundation, where they were surveying 10,000 educators across the country, K-12, to find out about their preparation and preparedness to teach science. And I'm going to focus on elementary for a minute. You can guess, this was not necessarily good news. Only 44% of the teachers in K-2, kindergarten, second grade, felt prepared to teach science, as compared to much higher percentages for English language arts and mathematics. Grades 3-5, 33% felt prepared to teach science. Again, much higher percentages in mathematics and English language arts. Now, we want this to be 100% prepared and feeling comfortable, but that's not the reality, and science is significantly impacted. And when we dive deeper into that to find out which science is the ones that are the most comfortable or least comfortable, we find, not surprisingly, that teachers feel more comfortable with life science at a whopping 32% feel comfortable teaching life science, going down to a comfort level of only 16 to 19% for physical science, and then engineering barely makes a blip at only about 4% feeling prepared to teach that. The newest part of the next generation science standards, very little preparation and feeling ready to do that. This makes me nervous. right? It's not surprising to me, but it makes me nervous. Especially, and it makes, what I think is interesting is when we start looking at our assessments, it gets interesting. So this is just a stolen photo from the page of the released questions for Smarter Balanced. It's our assessment for Common Core. And this is released question, so it's not the one you're going to get, but it does ring some bells for me. It's a video kids need to watch. This is for grades 3 to 5. They watch a video on exercise in space. And then they have to answer a question about why is exercise important for astronauts in space. Use the video to give us your answers and write it here. Yes. Right? I love this. This is about science. It's science-y. That's the conversation here, which is the beginning of this idea of why I am a big fan of Common Core. The expectation is that we're doing things cross-discipline, that science teachers are going to be spending time doing reading and writing and watching video, and English teachers doing the same, and mathematics and history as well. The other thing I love about this is that it's a video. How many of you get your information from reading newspaper only? This is part of our world today, is to get our information from multiple places. Putting some value on watching video for our students, you may not agree with it, but it's real life. Our students are going to be streaming information off their tablets and their phones just as much as we do. And we need to be able to understand and start measuring the impact of that and understanding what the different perspectives are that are out there and providing that experience for our students. Now, certainly, when I look at something like this, the teachers I work with are like, well, I wouldn't know. We don't do this kind of science. We bring in other things to our classrooms, but maybe not the science ideas. But I know it's possible. I've worked with a group just recently of K-5 teachers in San Francisco Unified, where we looked and did a bunch of experiments using around electricity and magnetism. One of those physical science ideas that came really low, right, for understanding and preparedness. And we played with wires and LED lights and batteries and magnets, and we built circuits. And teachers, did they like it? Of course they loved it. And we designed then curriculum. These teachers took that curriculum back to their classes and did experiments with their classes. And guess what happened? The students loved it, and they ate it up. And they did drawings about what they saw, and they wrote about what they saw, and they presented about what they saw, and all of this for Common Core. This was a PD that was really science-y, but it was literacy for Common Core. And that's what we did with them. And the students loved it and learned tons, and came up with new questions that the teachers couldn't answer. So we came back together and shared all this, and then went deeper into those questions and played more. And this is the kind of thing that I like to see. Teachers learning and students learning at the same time. But how often does this kind of thing happen? Not too often, right? And we need to see more of that. Because we have students who very soon, in 10 years, are going to be the voters for our future. We're dealing with things right now about global climate change and rising sea level and vaccinations and genetically modified organisms. And we're getting so much information, and we need to be able to sift through this and understand which pieces of this are coming from what people, with what perspective, and what context. When do we give students opportunities to think about that and to have these kinds of opportunities? We need to be thinking about it, because that is what's coming in the future. Now, I will say, this continues on into high school. So again, Smarter Balance, and again, I don't want to make this a Smarter Balance thing, so if you don't like assessments, I don't love assessments either, but I'm just putting this up here as a point of reference. This is the 11th grade performance task about nuclear power. And in this, again, for those of you who are not high school, the high school English teacher is going to share with their students, this is information about nuclear power, and we're going to go over it together. Then students are going to go off and do readings and watch videos and take notes on graphic organizers and then talk to their neighbors in their tables and other people in their classes to come up with reasons why nuclear power is good or not good and counter arguments and think about it, and maybe they'll change their ideas along the way. Again, right? It's science-y. This is great. Right? I look at this and get so excited because I want to see more science in English. But how many English teachers are well-versed on nuclear power? Now again, in 10 years, is it possible these students are going to be actually voting about nuclear power? Absolutely. And do I only want them to be able to read a voter guide in a newspaper? No. I want them to understand all these myriad perspectives and contexts and understand the value of all of these so they can make decisions educated for our future. Now, a lot of people look at this kind of thing and say, I've been doing this already. That's just good teaching. You do things like that, okay? And I applaud you. Other people might look at this and say, I don't know why would I do this in my English class? What I'm going to say is it's possible. This is me and Javich. Pardon my grammar if you don't like that, but I was going to say this is me and Javich, the two of us. He's an English teacher that I worked with at Mission High. We both started at the same time in 1999. And we realized after a year we shared almost all of the 10th graders. So we decided we're going to do some fun things together. And we planned a whole bunch of cool activities with the English class and the science class. And the kids were blown away that we could even know each other. Like, what? We did that in Javich's class. Okay. So old picture and new picture. Yeah. He has way less hair now. But we worked together, and we did projects just like this. In fact, we did a big research project where kids did research in science, and he did the English language arts part of it. And kids were assessed based on the way that they wanted to write this essay, their topic sentences, their supporting paragraphs, their supporting evidence, the conclusion, tying it all together as the evidence. This was what he wanted for his English class. I was assessing the content. Did they explain the science content correctly? Did they connect it to activities we did in class? Connect it to things that we learned in class? And then could they reflect on that and tell me what they didn't understand and what further research they would want to do to find out? The kids loved it. They were able to do work for science and English and science, but they learned so much. We as teachers learned so much. So we took it further. We liked it so much when we had the opportunity, we started looping together. We went down to 9th grade. We added on a history teacher, a mathematics teacher, and a teacher of special education, and worked with the same students for more than 1 year. And guess what happened? These kids persisted in high school beyond our wildest dreams. Very few dropouts. Guess what? They graduated in huge rates. They went to college in huge rates. They persisted in college in huge rates. We are still connected to these kids. It was an amazing experience. And again, not everyone made it. We tried, we did the best we could, but they did it in droves. And it was powerful because it was cross-curricular, it was interesting, there was math and science, science and math, English and history, history and science, science and history in every which way. And it made the difference for our students. Now again, all of my experience was at Mission High. Pretty much all of my teaching. Very different place in 1994 when I first started volunteering there. You didn't want to go to Dolores Park back then. Okay? Now it's just mobs of people. All of my experiences were, and I was lucky that I lived nearby. And one of the things I realized with this population of students is we asked a lot of them, but in order for them to buy in, we needed to give a lot of ourselves too. So I would pepper my curriculum with things from my own life. And this is a little kind of video story I'm going to do with you that I do with my students too, which is connected to my curriculum. And it's all about this tree. It's a tulip tree. It doesn't make tulips. Its leaves are in the shape of a tulip. It's a beautiful tree. I walk past it every day on my way to work because I live close enough. I would walk and bike, take the J. But this tree, I loved. I'd walk past it all the time. That's all the pictures from the different sides. But what I noticed is, when I would go past this tree in the winter, it would lose its leaves. It's deciduous. Science word of the day. Okay? Loses its leaves. But it wouldn't lose its leaves everywhere. It would lose its leaves, and I was blown away by this again and again, over the entire tree except for in one part which would hold onto its leaves and keep putting out new leaves through the winter. And I had no idea why. So I shared this story with my kids, and they have a much more elaborate PowerPoint with many more pictures of the tree. I'm giving you a very skimpy version. But they have these 3 pictures. I'm showing you these 3. And then here it is in the winter, much less exciting. Okay? But here you can see new growth in this tree. And I would walk past this every day on my way to school and say, what is going on with this? I see science everywhere, folks. I see science everywhere. This was like hitting me over the head, like, what is going on with this? So I literally just was like, I'm going to document this, and I took pictures of it all year long at different times and tried to figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out for a very long time. So I show my kids, and I say, what's going on? And I have them come up with ideas. And they ask me questions about the tulip tree, details about where it came from and why, and where is it located on the block? What kind of light is it getting, Mr. Lewis? Like, asking me all these, and they come up with these great ideas, and they're all wrong. And that's perfectly fine, because I tell them I couldn't figure it out either until I had a really long day at work, and I walked past this tree at night. You see it? Okay, the streetlight was on. And the streetlight was enough to give this tree the light it needed to keep making new leaves through the winter. I was blown away. My students look at me and they say, Mr. Lewis, plants can get energy from something other than the sun? And I turn to them and say, well, absolutely. In fact, there's an entire industry in Colorado based on this now. It's really important for us to share things from our experience with our students. That is an amazing lesson that I learned. All of us, whether it's science, for me it's science, for you it might be history or the book you read, or the travels that you do, or something that you bring back to talk about with your kids. I'm asking you, don't forget about science in that. Science is everywhere. The folks, you guys have such amazing experiences every day, whether it's going to the beach and seeing phytoplankton that glow, or seeing a meteor for the first time, or looking at the moon for the first time through a telescope, or something much more close to you, like getting a cut that healed really funny. Share these things with your students. Give them things to talk about. Let them have that opportunity to talk about those things too. Play with things in your classroom. Measure things in your classroom. Watch videos in your classroom. Do readings in your classroom, and include the science behind it. And if you don't know the answer, that's okay. Let them wonder. Let them talk more about it. Because this kind of thing, it is great for Common Core. This kind of thing, it is great for science. It is great for students. It will make you feel great as a teacher. And most importantly, it's going to be great for our future. Thank you.